Welcome back to part two of Wonderfully Made, a Bible study on disability and belonging in children's ministry. This week, we're diving into one of the most transformative and sometimes uncomfortable questions that we can ask. How does God view disability? And to answer that, we're going to look at a powerful moment in John 9 and reflect on what it means to move from pity and confusion to honor and purpose. We find ourselves alongside the road where Jesus is walking with his apostles. Scripture says, as he passed by, he saw a man blind from birth. And as his disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Pause here. That question is still asked in not in words, then in attitude. Is disability the result of sin, a mistake, or something to be explained away? Jesus' answer is radical. It was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be displayed in him. Wow. Let that sink in. Jesus completely reframes the situation. Disability isn't a punishment, it's not a problem. It is an opportunity for glory. Even today, Christian communities sometimes carry unspoken assumptions that, healing equals holiness or that faith will fix your disability. Sometimes we even think that disability is a spiritual barrier rather than a reflection of God's creative diversity. 1 Corinthians 12 says something completely stunning. The parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. They're not optional, they're not honorary, they are indispensable. This means that children with disabilities are not just included out of kindness or our generosity, they are essential to the full picture of the church. So, how do we start reframing from this perspective in our disability ministry? First, we have to shift from sympathy to sacredness. Sympathy says, this child is struggling, let's help. Sacredness says, that child is showing us something holy, let's learn. It's often in weakness, limitation, and uniqueness that God shows up the most clearly. That means in our disability ministry, we should be celebrating that child who maybe scripts from their favorite movie or TV commentator. We need to value nonverbal communication as real communication. We need to create space for rest, regulation, and alternative learning, not as something extra, but as an expected part of our ministry. We don't ask children to become someone else in order to belong. We make room for who they are. This week, I'm going to encourage you to spend time with this question. What assumptions, spoken or unspoken, do I hold about disability? You might want to reflect on, do you believe that healing must always be physical? Have you ever seen disability as a barrier to ministry rather than a part of it? Or how can you better honor the children that you serve? Not despite their disability, but including it. Jesus didn't turn away from disability. He meets people exactly where they are. He honors their humanity, he listens, he reframes, and he invites us to do the same. So let's keep growing, because when we start to see disability through Jesus's eyes, we begin to see his glory more clearly. Until next time, thank you for joining us.